despite an international court ordering them not to. So what can Australia do about it?
In March last year, the International Court of Justice ruled that Japan's whaling operations in the Southern Ocean were not for purposes of scientific research, despite what Japan claimed. They were ordered to cease with immediate effect.
The finding of the court was a really important finding. There was years of work put in on the scientific and, of course, on the legal work that went into the court by a very large number of people.
But now Japan's announced that starting next year, it'll ignore the ruling and continue culling up to 333 minke whales in the area per year for the next 12 years.
For Japan to simply ignore those findings does make it a very cynical exercise and a frustrating one.
Before the last election, the coalition promised to monitor the Japanese whale hunt, saying
the government should stop turning a blind eye to whaling in our waters and should have a customs vessel in the Southern Ocean.
But there's still no sign of that customs vessel. Today, in a statement, the Foreign Minister said the Australian government has made representations at the highest level to urge Japan not to resume whaling.
It is very important that Australia continue to say to the government of Japan that this whaling in the Southern Ocean must stop. Hopefully, the Australian government will have an opportunity of doing this in Paris.
But Japan isn't the only country culling whales for commercial reasons. So far this year, Norway reportedly killed 660 minke whales, while Iceland reportedly killed 29 minke whales and 155 endangered fin whales. However, those operations are largely carried out in local waters. So with Japan already ignoring an international court order, just 1 year on, is it time for tougher action?
Jeff Hansen is the Managing Director of Sea Shepherd and joins us now. Jeff, how do you think Australia should be tackling this?
We've had diplomatic avenues, we've tried legal action. It's now looking that we need a vessel down there to monitor Japan. I mean, Australia has every obligation that there's a $1 million fine out on their heads. We can seize their assets, and the Australian government can do that with a customs vessel.
But Jeff, can't that be really dangerous? I mean, we all remember those images from a few years ago when things got really hairy down there.
Yes, it does get quite hairy down there, but Sea Shepherd's record speaks for itself. We've saved the lives of over 5,000 whales in our 10 Antarctic wild defence campaigns, and we've never caused a single injury on either side.
Jeff, my understanding is that the very top level of the Turnbull government, they're most upset with the Japanese decision to resume whaling. But do you get any sense from what you're hearing that Australia will upset such a good ally as Japan by intervening with a vessel and seizing assets like you're recommending?
I think the Australian government should be commended for taking Japan to the International Court of Justice, absolutely. And I know that they're looking at discussions at the highest level. And if that fails and the Japanese whaling fleet heads south into the Australian whale sanctuary that have been found to be in contempt of the Australian Federal Court, there is an obligation and a possibility of seizing their assets.
Jeff, do you think Japan cares, though? It kind of seems like no matter what we do, they don't get stuck.
Well, it's really not just snubbing the nose at the Australian government and New Zealand government, but it's also the world community. This is the International Court of Justice. What else do we have to do to stop whaling in what is an established whale sanctuary? It's time that Japan stop this whale hunt, and let's at least have one place